guys, welcome to the Faves of Our Lives podcast. I'm Kelly, and your other host is Brittany.
Hey, everyone.
Today, our special guest is our good friend, Belinda.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor to be in your guys' podcast and talk about one of my favorite shows.
We want to say Happy Valentine's Day to all you lovebirds out there. And if you're dreading this day because you're single, the show we are talking about today is proof that love is worth the wait. That's what she said.
That's a good one, Kelly.
All right. The Office premiered March 24th, 2005, and starred Steve Carell as Michael Scott, Rainn Wilson as Dwight Schrute, Jenna Fischer as Pam Beasley, and John Krasinski as Jim Halpert. The show is a mockumentary about office workers set at a paper company in Pennsylvania. Michael Scott is a boss who loves most of his employees, but has a really odd way of showing it. A lot of hijinks and arguments take place over the course of the show. There are a few love stories throughout the series run, but the most prominent is that of Jim and Pam. Michael leaves the Scranton branch in Season 7, which sparks a lot of new bosses cycling in and out of the office. The series ended after 9 seasons on May 16, 2013, with Dwight and Angela's wedding and the surprise return of Michael. And the first episode that we're talking about today is called Diversity Day. It's from Season 1, Episode 2. The episode centers around a corporate-mandated diversity training that's taking place because Michael decided it was a good idea to do a Chris Rock stand-up routine at the office. He doesn't appreciate the way that the trainer is giving the presentation, so he ends up creating his own after the trainer leaves. The training is full of stereotypes and offensive comments that leads to Michael eventually getting slapped. Also, Jam gets to experience Pam's head on his shoulder for 30 seconds. So, Kelly, do you want to start talking about what you liked about the episode and what you didn't like?
Yeah, well, the first thing that I didn't like was the whole Jim and Pam thing. Like, I agree they're soulmates and they're meant to be together, but she's engaged. And, like, yeah, she didn't do anything that bad. She just laid her head on Jim's shoulder, but I'm pretty sure if I did that and Chad saw that, he would be offended, if not greatly upset by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same with me. Like, yeah, I understand you're not married yet, but you're engaged. So I find that, like, it's not morally correct to do that. Especially, you know, if you have a boyfriend or husband or a partner, it should, like, yeah. It's not right. I agree with Kelly.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to shame Pam or anything, but I've been to a lot of boring meetings and been tired and never fell asleep on anybody. So, I get what you guys are saying.
It is not just that, like, they're obviously flirting with each other throughout the episodes before they end up together. Spoiler alert. Sorry. But, I mean, she's engaged the entire time. And
yeah.
They've been engaged forever. They aren't setting a wedding date. Like, obviously, just break up with the guy, Pam. You're better than that.
That's right. And I think in the most later episodes that she goes back and sees how she was meant to be with Jim all the time. And yeah, she doesn't understand why she was with her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I understand the idea of I've spent all of this time with this person, I don't want to hurt this person, this is who I'm supposed to be with, you know, Jim's just a friend. I get that to an extent.
That's right.
But it's still wrong. She knew she had feelings, so she really should have called it off. So
right.
If anybody out there is listening and they need advice, if you have feelings for someone else, then you need to make sure that your significant other is aware.
Just shout out to our friends at Sugarcoat Free. You need to cut it.
So, a little more about the episode. The episode starts out with Jim discussing how he has this sale that he's about to close today, and it's worth 25% of his annual salary. And he is so excited about it, he even has a little champagne bottle in his desk drawer. And he is trying to close the deal while Dwight is shredding paper right next to him. He ends up unplugging the paper shredder, and Dwight hangs up the phone call that is worth 25% of his yearly commission.
Of course, that's typical Dwight. He's so rude.
Yeah, he definitely... I love Dwight, and I hate Dwight.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I just want to put it out there that I hate Dwight. Sorry. Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Yeah, it's not even a love-hate thing.
No, I just hate him. Which I tell my kids don't say hate, so I'll just say I really don't like him.
I like him and I don't like him. It all depends on the situation. My favorite parts about this episode was when Michael did his own meeting after the diversity trainer left. He was not happy with his training. So Michael justifies the meeting because he did not have an Oprah moment with the trainer. So then he goes and he gets some cards with certain ethnicities on them. And then Michael had assigned himself, of course, Martin Luther King. Yeah. And then the cards just end up making everyone, stick a little card with a stereotype on their forehead, and then everybody had to guess each other by making comments or some kind of hint that, related to that card. And then Pam was paired up with Dwight at that moment. And Dwight had an Asian card on his forehead. So Pam, she made it clear that based on stereotypes that are completely untrue and that she doesn't agree with, she gave him a hint of what his card was. And that one of it is that Asians, are not very good drivers. And he says, "Oh man, am I a woman?" I'm like, are you serious, Dwight? Okay,
Yeah.
that I did not like him at this moment because that offended me.
Right.
But,
the whole thing
yeah.
is offensive.
I know. You're right, Brittany. He's just Dwight.
Yeah.
I guess
that's all you can say about him.
Yeah, I don't want to defend him, but, it's just a character, so I have to live with it.
Yeah. And he also says something at the beginning of the episode when the trainer is actually still giving his training, and Michael asks everybody to just shout out an ethnicity that they are sexually attracted to. And,
oh my, yeah.
and Dwight shouts out white and Indian, and poor Kelly is sitting next to Dwight, and she looks so disgusted.
Oh my gosh. Hey, she has her reasons, and I don't blame her by making that look, by having that face,
Right. Yeah, so after the whole thing happens with Dwight and Kelly, it's revealed that the entire reason that the trainer is there is because of this extremely offensive Chris Rock stand-up routine that Michael decided to do. And he feels like he's being discriminated against because he's white. Because when Chris Rock said it, it was funny. But because he's white, it's offensive. I also liked that they decided to have Kevin do the reenactment of Michael doing the stand-up routine. They could not have picked a better person.
Yeah, and Michael tells him he's doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kevin was actually, respecting, not saying, the N-word.
Right.
Then Michael starts reenacting, and he just starts just saying all of these offensive words, and that were not really polite. Yeah.
I love how the trainer shuts Michael down, and Michael's like, okay, I'll play the role of guy listening.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah, so the trainer basically pulls Michael into his office and he tells him, I need your signature on this paper. I need everybody's signature. You know, he's playing the game. Michael says, I'm not going to sign this because this says that if I sign this, I'm acknowledging that I learned something and I already knew everything. And so the guy tells him, you're misunderstanding me. Actually, your signature is the only one that I need. You are the reason that I was sent here. And Michael gets really pissed off and grabs the paper and he signs it. And when the guy walks out, it cuts to him talking to the camera and he says, well, the joke's on him because I signed my name as Daffy Duck.
He's just unbelievable.
I really like this part because I hadn't watched The Office in so long, and then I rewatched it for this podcast, and I thought, oh, Michael actually gets it. You know, he understands that he was the reason for the diversity training, and maybe he actually learned his lesson this time, and then it cuts to him laughing about the fact that he signed his name Daffy Duck, and I'm like, oh man, typical Michael.
Okay, what would work life be like if this was acceptable?
Yeah. Or if Michael was our boss.
Oh,
that would be
God.
That would be actually kind of like amazing, not boring.
That's true.
We would never have a dull moment in that office with him as our boss.
Yes.
But at the same time, it wouldn't be acceptable, you know. In real life, he would have gotten fired long time ago.
Yeah.
And after this, you know, Michael did that other meeting because, you know, he didn't get his Oprah moment. So, I don't know if you guys noticed, but he then kicks out Toby out of this other meeting for asking if they're going to be sitting in Indian style.
Yeah, I thought that was funny because Michael says that's offensive and lame, so double offensive.
Yeah, I love that line. I also like that you're already seeing his hatred for Toby.
Yeah, on episode 2.
Yes.
Poor Toby.
Yeah, he's just a nice guy. You know, he's plain, but he's just a nice guy.
Yeah, I like him a lot better than Dwight.
Oh, yeah. Dwight. I believe that Toby is actually one of the writers, too, of the show.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
A lot of the characters are.
Yes.
I think that Creed is one, too.
Oh my god.
Is he?
Okay, like, he does not have a ton of lines, but he is hilarious.
Oh, yeah. And the short lines that he has throughout the whole show, they're ridiculously funny. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing. All of these writers are just amazing writers. They're funny, they're witty, they're sharp. And all of the characters, how they created them, they're just great.
Yeah, it is a true ensemble cast.
Yes.
One that works really well.
Yes, that's right.
One of my favorite parts of this episode was when he starts playing the video in his own meeting, and he says, Abraham Lincoln said, if you are a racist, I will attack you with the North.
I remember when I watched this episode again, that video that he put up there for them to watch, it was like less than a minute. And he said it took him like an hour.
He was like, that's all the time I had.
It was also shortly after that Kelly says she has to go because she has a customer meeting, and he says, but if you leave, there's only 2 of you left. And he's talking about different races, and I was like, oh, how can you say that?
I know. Which would be Stanley and Oscar? Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know if I said this already, but I really genuinely don't think that he's racist. I think he's just stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, I totally agree. He's not racist. He's just Michael.
Yeah.
Well, and my argument for that, too, is he asks Oscar in this episode if he would prefer a less offensive term than Mexican used for him.
Oh my goodness.
Which is offensive in itself, but he's saying it in a way that he's not wanting to offend him.
That's right. Yeah, and I don't know where Michael's come from, but could that be offensive? I just can't believe he's never been sued.
Yeah, me either.
It's just funny to watch.
So we talked about the different ethnicity cards on everyone's head. It was just a slew of stereotypes. We talked about Dwight and Pam, but there were a lot of them. And then, after that whole debacle, it cuts to Jim and Ryan. They're out in the office area talking, and Ryan says something about, "Isn't she cute?" And Jim says, "Yeah, but she's engaged," talking about Pam. So he slips up and basically tells Ryan that he thinks Pam is cute. I didn't catch that until you guys said that they weren't even talking about Pam.
Yeah, I forget who they were talking about.
I believe Ryan was looking online. He was looking for something online, and I think he saw somebody, while he was web searching something, and that's what he was talking about. But, yeah, Jim says, "Oh, yeah, Pam is cute," but really they were not talking about Pam.
So, after that, Kelly comes back from her customer meeting, and Michael immediately starts speaking to her in this thick Indian accent and just yelling all kinds of things at her. It is extremely offensive, and she just hauls off and slaps him.
I can't blame her. That was very offensive.
Yeah,
if I were Indian, oh yeah.
It was uncomfortable to listen to.
Yes, that's right.
There were a lot of parts in this that kind of made me cringe a little bit.
Yeah, basically the whole episode is really difficult.
So, the episode ends with Jim giving Dwight his little champagne bottle because Dwight has stolen his 25% commission sale. So, my question is, was that Dwight's plan all along?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's such a dick move, and I totally could see Dwight doing that.
Yeah.
That's funny because I did not notice that, the first time I ever watched this episode until you guys mentioned it. I'm like, oh, wow. I did not see that coming, but, I mean, it's Dwight, so.
Mm-hmm.
And you never actually see him steal the deal, but Jim puts the bottle on his desk, so.
Right.
Yes, that's right. And, they prank each other all the time, so I can see Dwight doing that to Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even though Jim lost his 25% yearly commission sale, he ends up saying at the end of the episode it was a pretty great day because Pam laid her head on his shoulder. And even though we disagree with that, it was a cute moment.
It was. I'm just saying, if Roy would have been there, he would not have been happy about it.
No.
Yeah, I agree. It was a really, really cute moment. And I can't believe that little gesture, that little moment made the whole day for Jim. So you could tell by this second episode how much he loved Pam. And that he was willing to wait for her.
That's something from high school. You're like, oh my god, they talked to me today. My day was great.
The next episode we are talking about is called Stress Relief. It's from season 5, and it's episodes 14 and 15. It's a 2-part episode. And I just want to mention, before we really get into this episode made our episode almost impossible. Because we put it out on social media, we always do, we ask everybody what their favorite episodes of each show that we're featuring are, and almost every single person said this episode. which made it difficult for us to choose the other 2 episodes.
Let me just say that this is by far one of the best episodes I've ever seen on TV.
Agreed.
And I'm pretty sure that this episode, especially the intro, won some awards regarding, just the writings and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much happening.
A lot. It's chaos.
Yes, it was just amazing. The first time I watched it, I was in the living room with my father-in-law. And we just start cracking up so hard we could not talk to each other. It was just so good. I'm sure people that are listening to us, they're going to agree that it was just an amazing intro. I just love the fact that Dwight says in the intro, he said something like, I did a safety training last week. Nobody paid attention. It's PowerPoint. PowerPoint is boring. It's like, oh my gosh, that was amazing.
And he says, today, cigarettes are going to save lives.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Dwight.
Yeah, so the whole general plot of the episode is, of course, Dwight sets booby traps and an actual fire inside of the office because he wants to prove to everybody that the office is not prepared for an emergency, and it is just all-out chaos. People are losing it all over. They're throwing stuff through windows. They're throwing cats in ceilings, which we'll get to in a second.
Okay.
But the entire scene leads to Stanley having a heart attack, and the doctor telling him that if he doesn't greatly reduce his stress level, he's going to die. Michael, trying to help Stanley, ends up realizing that he's a big part of everybody's stress in the office, and in order to alleviate some of that stress, he thinks it's a good idea for them to roast him. It will make him seem less threatening and reduce their stress level if they get to make fun of him. Everybody is so excited to do this, which it would be fun. And they really give it to him. They don't hold back. It is just boom, boom, boom. And per usual, he doesn't handle it very well. He ends up disappearing for a day, and then he returns and he roasts all of them in retaliation. So, yeah, we were talking about the fire scene and all of the chaos, and I want to say favorite part, but it also disturbed me because I am a cat lover.
Mm-hmm. I thought you would say that.
Yes. Angela has a cat in her desk drawer, which that part doesn't offend me. I would love to have a cat in my desk drawer.
Named Bandit.
For some reason, I was thinking his name was Mr. Bojangles.
Oh.
I want a cat in my desk drawer almost as badly as Kelly wants the champagne bottle in her desk drawer.
Yeah, I'd take a puppy, too.
Yeah. But I'm deeply disturbed by how this show treats cats. Well, animals, really. It's all animals, but this episode has a cat being flung through the ceiling and then falling back down. Dwight, in a later episode, ends up killing Angela's cat by putting it into a freezer.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And
That's why
then
they broke up, yeah.
It's a different type of abuse, but I just watched an episode today where Angela is tongue bathing one of her cats.
Oh my god, that's disgusting.
Yeah. So that's my rant.
Yeah. They should probably get PETA involved.
Well, they do talk about PETA. Dwight hates PETA.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Although I must say, Angela was trying to save her cat.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
The intention was good.
You're right.
But I totally agree with you that they don't treat animals the right way in the show. I mean, it's not like, they torture them in every episode, but, a little bit more respect for them.
No, but it's, I mean, it's the same concept of, you know, they say all of these offensive things in terms of stereotypes and, you know, racial things that are offensive, but they're saying it in a way that they are not condoning it. They're showing how ridiculous it is, and I feel like it's the same way with animals. Like, I'm not seriously offended by it because I know the message is not, hey, stick a cat in a freezer.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm sure no animals were actually harmed.
No.
That's right.
The other part of the chaos that I love is Kevin looting the vending machine.
Oh my goodness.
God. About this.
That was, that was probably my favorite part. And if you notice in the next episode, Stress Relief 2, there's a scene where the vending machine is in the back. There's nothing in there. Because, of course, Kevin had previously, you know, gone through the whole thing.
I did not notice
I
that.
didn't
That's
notice
really
that.
smart.
Yes. I even paused it to look
You're
at it.
very
I'm just
observant.
like, oh my gosh. Sometimes.
Another interesting tidbit about the vending machines is that those vending machines are always stocked with Hers potato chips. And that's a brand, I think, it's out of Pennsylvania. I'm not sure. I want to say Pittsburgh. But anyway, that's a really interesting detail because the show is actually shot in Los Angeles, which means that they had all of those shipped to the set.
That's amazing. When I first read that, I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just to make it more authentic.
Yeah, because I never would have thought about that. If it had, like, Doritos and Lay's in there, I would have been like, sure, those are chips.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that was pretty cool. There's another part, too, that was pretty cool from that intro was the firecrackers. When they started going off, and then he yells, "The fire is shooting at us!" I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Yeah, Andy is crazy.
Yeah, I heard something about Andy. I read something, and they said that actually when they merged the branches, that Andy and that new cast was, you know, they were going to get either fired or they were going to quit or something. But they kept Andy because they liked him and they thought he was funny. So
he is a funny actor.
Yeah, he is. I don't know if you guys like the part where Michael throws a projector out of the window and yells for help.
I did love that part.
That was awesome.
Okay, but then, like, Dwight says, okay, this was just a test, you all failed. But there's legit a fire. So what happened?
Yeah, that's a good question, Kelly. They never, you know, aired anything about
that's
that.
one of my big pet peeves is, like, when things are unrealistic. So, okay, it was a test, so the fire just disappeared.
Yeah, I guess.
I want to so badly say it was just smoke, but, you know, the old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire.
Okay, but he
So-
lit a cigarette, threw it in the trash can, and then, like, he pours some lighter fluid, but if you notice, he throws the entire can of lighter fluid in there when he's walking away.
Like I said, this whole thing leads to Stanley basically having a heart attack. We don't know exactly what happens, but he collapses, and Michael loses it, and he runs over to Stanley, and he's shouting at him, and my favorite thing that he says to him is, "Barack is president, you are black, Stanley."
As he's shoving his wallet in his mouth.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know who wrote that line, but that is gold. It doesn't make sense, but it absolutely makes sense coming out of Michael's mouth.
That's right. That part was awesome.
So, obviously, Dwight gets in trouble for setting a fire in his office. And he's at corporate, he's talking to them, and he says he didn't kill anybody. He only almost killed somebody. Michael says that the best way to deal with this is to strip him of his safety manager title and make him donate a portion of his income to a charity that he hates, and that's where Dwight says PETA.
I didn't even notice your note when I made that comment about PETA.
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But Dwight obviously didn't learn anything because he immediately starts talking about how he is planning a bomb scare.
Yeah, I really can't believe that he did not get fired. I know it's a show, but I still believe that, sometimes they just let them go.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's all good because it's Dwight.
Yeah, someone seriously almost died.
I know, because of him.
So they're back at the office. Stanley comes back, and everybody's whispering because they don't want to scare him. He just had a heart attack. And Stanley tells them that the doctor said that if he doesn't greatly reduce his stress level at work, he was going to die. And then it cuts to him talking to the camera, and he just looks and says, "I'm going to die."
I love how Michael is talking to the cameraman afterwards, and he says, with a straight face, nobody should have to go to work thinking, oh, this is the place I might die today. That's what a hospital's for. An office is a place where dreams come true. I was like, what the heck? What's wrong with this guy?
He really believes that, too.
I know, which is kind of amazing. Like, what's going on through his head?
Yeah.
It's just Michael.
I mean, it's good and bad, but these people that are his employees, they are his friends and his only friends. So to him, I mean, that is his reason for living.
That's a good point. I totally agree that he believes they are his friends, but all of them don't believe Michael is their friend. Michael just needs to be liked. I think that's one of his passions. So he always needs assurance. I can see that, what you're saying.
So this leads into the CPR training, which is the other scene that a lot of people remember from this episode. They have someone bring in a CPR dummy. They're practicing on him. Kevin calls time of death after 20 seconds of doing compressions because he can't do it anymore. Michael tells Stanley that he needs to know how to resuscitate himself, which I understand doing the Heimlich, but how do you give yourself CPR?
Can't.
It's just Michael.
Yeah. So Michael can't get over the fact that this dummy doesn't have any arms and legs.
And Michael says something really funny here. And he says, if we come across somebody with no arms or legs, do we bother resuscitating them? That to me was so funny because is he that naive, obnoxious that really?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Well, and then he says to Kevin, which I don't even remember what prompted it, but he tells him that he might as well not have any arms and legs because he doesn't do anything anyway.
Oh my goodness. Yep. Michael can be very rude and insensitive.
Yeah. To say this was my favorite scene in the episode was when they were doing the CPR and they all break out into song and dance. And then they're like, did we save him? And the trainer's like, no, you didn't save him. Nobody even called 911.
Yep. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then Dwight starts harvesting the organs because the dummy is an organ donor.
Oh my gosh. And I really like the part too that Creed had already checked the dummy if he had a wallet to see, if he was an organ donor. I'm like, really?
I just want to say that there's this new show called The Masked Singer, and I love it. It's my guilty pleasure. And there was a GIF or a meme or something with Dwight with that dummy mask on his face saying, "Can I be on The Masked Singer?"
Oh my. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was the creepiest thing And then he tells them that the reason that he did it was because he saw Silence of the Lambs or Hannibal, and he didn't believe that it was accurate, but having done it, it was extremely accurate.
Yeah.
So, there's this weird B-plot in this episode, too, where Jim, Pam, and Andy are all watching this really weird movie starring Cloris Leachman and Jack Black, because Andy wants to be a movie critic, and Jim and Pam are talking about her parents' divorce. They're just basically sitting there to humor Andy, but he thinks they're talking about the movie, and he thinks that they are geniuses.
Yeah, that movie was very weird.
Yeah.
I loved how when they were in the break room and Andy comes in with the popcorn and he dumps it into the bowl and it's like barely popped. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So while all of this is going on, Dwight comes in and apologizes, which I use that term extremely loosely. And he tells all of them he needs signatures, basically saying that he actually came in and apologized. And Phyllis is the first one to say she refuses. He almost killed Stanley. Dwight says the line, it's something to the effect of, well, I didn't fill him with butter and tell him not to exercise for 30 years.
Oh my goodness, typical Dwight.
Yeah, that was probably... I don't know. I want to say it's my favorite line, but I'll probably say that like 5 times throughout this.
Yeah. There are many lines, but that is funny.
He just says, I state my regret.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah, he said, Michael says, do you have your statement of regret? And he just says, I state my regret.
Oh my God. Yeah. He doesn't think that he did anything wrong.
No, he's just like Michael.
Yeah.
So, again, Pam's parents are separating. Her dad has been staying with Jim and Pam, and she is asking Jim to talk to her dad about the separation because he won't talk to her. And it ends up, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but it ends up leading to her father realizing that he wants to get his own apartment and leave her mother, and Jim is freaking out because he feels like this is his fault somehow. And I just thought that that was really adorable that he was like, I don't know what I did.
Yeah, he didn't know what he did because he had actually just like expressed his feelings towards Pam, like described his feelings that he had for Pam, and I think her dad said that he had never felt that way for her mom, even in the good times.
Right.
So that was pretty sad. But at the same time, Pam says something like really sweet that her kids are going to know that she married, that that their parents are soulmates.
Yeah, I actually have that line written down. She said, when you're a kid, you assume your parents are soulmates. My kids are going to be right about that.
Aw, that is really sweet.
I thought that was a sweet line.
I thought that was
Yeah.
sweet, even though everything I said bad about them before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so back to the stress part of the episode. So Michael is trying to keep Stanley calm. He has everybody laying on the conference room floor, and he's walking over them with a candle. I'm not sure how that's supposed to relieve stress.
Yeah, I said this scene stresses me out because I was so afraid he was going to drip wax on somebody.
Yeah, or catch someone on fire.
Yeah.
So Stanley has a little stress alert thing that he's wearing, and every time Michael gets close, it goes off. When he steps back, it stops. So he has Oscar hold it to test it, and when he does that, Oscar sets it off too. That's what makes him realize, okay, I'm causing stress. He thinks it's because he's intimidating, and so he sets up the roast of Michael Scott. And he sets up a stage down in the warehouse, and he decides he's going to charge everybody $10 to attend. It's going to be that good.
Oh, and he's also going to get YouTube to come down and film it.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how that works.
That's how it works. Dwight, first of all, he's getting Toby to sign his apology statement by bribing him with Girl Scout cookies, which I'm sure, Belinda, you really enjoyed his line about this when he says that he feels weird about contributing to raising young women's self-esteem.
Yes, and I think he says also raising young women with leadership skills.
Oh, yeah.
That infuriated me because I have 2 little daughters, and let me tell you, they're going to be leaders one day.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Dwight is not my favorite person when he said that.
Yeah, we definitely don't want women to have any skills.
No. After he gets Toby to sign the form in for buying the Girl Scout cookies, the next idea that he has is he's going to make everybody sign into the roast, and so he puts his form on the table and just puts a piece of paper over top of it for people to sign as they're attending, and that's actually pretty smart, but...
Yeah, I have to give it to him on that one. That was really smart of him, and a lot of people signed that paper off.
Right. Yeah, and except for Phyllis. I think she's the only one that he doesn't get.
Yes, because she actually reads the paper. Mm-hmm. And then she knows that, it's just a trick from Dwight. He does get her in the end, though.
Oh, yeah.
He does.
So, the roast starts. Angela jumps up first, which cracks me up because she's so quiet.
Yeah.
But
She's so laid back. I couldn't even believe she was on stage trying to roast somebody, talk bad about somebody on stage.
Me either. And she does basically the you might be a redneck, but it's you might be Michael Scott routine.
Yeah.
Kelly reads a list of people she would make out with before she would make out with Michael. I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah, it was. Like all the guys from the warehouse, I think, was one of them. And they all were happy.
Yeah, they all cheered.
Clapping. Yeah, woo, yeah.
Meredith just says all of the bad things he's done to her and says he's the reason that she drinks.
This was really sad to hear.
That is sad.
Yes, because I guess she's a great actress because that made me feel like she was saying it for real. I'm like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oscar just yells at him in Spanish, and Belinda, I'm going to let you take this part over.
Oh, yes. I'm gladly take over. He yells, me das una úlcera cada vez que me despierto y tengo que trabajar para ti. Which means you give me an ulcer every morning when I get up and I have to come to work for you. It was just funny when he said that. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're talking in Spanish. That's awesome.
Yep.
But yeah. Oh, poor Oscar.
I understood ulcer.
Okay, good.
I just want to point out the fact that we are amazing at picking guests, because if it wasn't for Belinda, we wouldn't have known that. And on the last episode, Brittany D translated something in Italian for us.
Right.
Well, that's awesome. You see? You guys do well.
So, Toby isn't allowed to participate in the roast at all because it's for friends only.
Oh my goodness.
Dwight gets up on stage and he starts telling everybody they should be ashamed of themselves, and he's arguing with them. Michael is like, Dwight, calm down, you're an idiot, which then Dwight just goes off on him.
That's right.
I was kind of shocked that happened.
Yeah, me too, because he would always kiss his butt all the time, and all of a sudden, he just called him an idiot. Yeah, that was kind of shocking.
Right. Pam's routine was actually my favorite.
Oh, yes. Hands down, the best.
Yeah. So, she goes on and on about all of these things with Michael, and she ends it with, and his thing is so small. If it was an iPod, it would be a shuffle.
Oh my goodness. Pam is awesome. She was the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that part.
Yeah.
I was expecting Jim's to be funnier.
You're right. He's smart guy. He would have come with like smarter lines. Yeah, you're right. I don't remember his being that good.
But he's also a nice guy.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
true.
he was just trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Andy gets up and sings What I Hate About You.
I like that.
Yeah.
Andy.
I also like Daryl's, where he stands up and he's basically saying, you don't know any of us. You don't know anybody. Who is that? And he says, I've never seen him. He says, he gave you a ride home yesterday. What's his name? I don't know his name. Daryl says, it's Michael.
Yeah. That was pretty sad. And the guy gave him a ride, and I think they were on that same vehicle for an hour. Mm-hmm. I'm like, come on. You can't remember somebody else with your same name? That's how much Michael is into himself.
Right. Yeah, so the whole thing ends up, Michael gets upset. He starts to walk away, but he runs into the drum, and he ends up running away, crying, and everyone's just kind of standing there like, what just happened?
Yeah. And usually I'm okay with all the bad things that happen to Michael because he kind of deserves them. But for some reason in this episode and this part specifically, I felt bad for him. I just wanted to go and give him a hug because he was really sad.
Yeah.
that, they roast him really good.
I think that it was just hard for him because, like, you see a roast and you think it's funny because you're not on the receiving end of it. But he really, like I said earlier, he sees these people as his friends and they're saying all these horrible things about him. And he's not understanding that it's all in jest. Well, most of it is in jest.
That's another great thing about this show is that even though Michael is the one that's doing all the bad things and saying all the bad things about everybody, you still feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Because I think it's because we don't think he is like a bad person. He's just an idiot, Mm-hmm. So that's probably why, and he doesn't get it. He probably did not receive much love, when he was growing up.
Yeah, so Michael disappears, and it's the next day. Nobody knows where he's at. We see that he's at the park, and he's feeding the birds by throwing entire pieces of bread out of a bread bag, and there are no birds around.
This reminds me of the time when I went to Myrtle Beach with my family because we wanted to feed the seagulls so bad, and there were none. Like, literally none on the beach.
Did you feel like Michael Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this part was funny.
It was funny.
He was just throwing so many slices of bread and just making the sound of a bird or something. And yeah, it was just funny.
So he ends up making his way back to the office. He walks in, you can tell he's still mad, and he just starts roasting them in retaliation. And I can't remember everything that he says, but he says things like, Oscar, you're gay. Andy, you're gayer than Oscar. Just boom, boom, boom. Angela, oh, where's Angela? I didn't see you behind that grain of rice. But it ends with what he says to Stanley. He says to Stanley, Stanley, your heart sucks and you crush your wife during sex. And Stanley just cracks up. And I think that's when Michael finally realizes that it's not about being mean to people. You're close to each other, you're just giving each other a hard time. And then everybody starts laughing. I sometimes feel like Stanley is an underrated character. I really like him. When he goes off, it's one of my favorite things.
When he gets angry, oh my, better be somewhere else. You don't want that guy mad at you.
No, there's an episode where Kelly tells Stanley that Ryan is looking at his daughter, which he is not. And he pulls him in and he's like, boy, have you lost your damn mind? Because I'll help you find it.
Oh, yeah. Or when he's angry at Michael because he doesn't respect him and then he just yells, did I stutter? Did I stutter? I'm
Yeah.
like, wow. Yeah, you don't want to mess with Stanley. I love how Michael calls Stanley the sassy black guy. I was like, what? When is he sassy? He's just there with his puzzles.
Yes, crossword puzzles. All right, so the last episode that we're going to talk about is one that Belinda picked out.
Drum rolls, please.
Drum roll. It is titled The Dinner Party. It's from season 4. It's episode 9. And in this episode, Michael invites couples from the office to his and Jan's home for a dinner party. It becomes apparent that the two are not exactly as happy as Michael would like them to be. There are a lot of cringeworthy moments that make the others grasp for excuses to leave their apartment. Jan ends up throwing a Dundee Award through the television, and the cops are called, and Michael ends up going home with Dwight. So, Belinda, why is this your favorite?
This is my favorite, I think, because it's funny. Some people might find it not funny, but it's a different sense of humor, and I get it. But I just feel that their characters are so alive. They're like so true to themselves, and we see how a failed relationship like Jan and Michael should end. That's when it ended, and this is how it was supposed to be. And I think everything combined, it was amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, like, before this episode, the way that Jan is with Michael was seen as kind of comical. You know, oh, well, she wears the pants in that relationship or whatever. But you really see in this episode that it's borderline, I wouldn't even say borderline, it's abusive.
I totally agree. Because in one hand, we have like this type A female who wants to climb up the corporate ladder. And she wants more for her life, you know, and then she's dating Michael, and you don't get it. Why? So this is like a perfect ending to their love story. And I agree. It's like it's just, how do you call it? Like excruciating. Mm-hmm. It's very hard to watch, but that's how it is. It should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's not even allowed to sleep in their bed.
Oh my goodness,
he
that was
has to
funny.
sleep at the end of the bed like a dog.
like in a little bench.
Yeah.
And then Jan says, he fits perfect.
Yeah.
Like, or something like that. Like, oh my God.
And she has an office and a workspace, and he has a little corner in the garage.
That's right.
Yeah, I like how he tricked everyone into coming to his dinner party. He tells everybody, don't make plans. Corporate says that we have to work on these papers. We're going to be super late. So he comes out and he's like, oh, this sucks. We're doing all of this. He walks up to Jim and says, you have plans tonight? Jim says, no, I don't have plans tonight. You told me not to make plans because we were going to be working late. So Michael does this, oh, well, this sucks. I'm going to call corporate and I'm going to tell them that we're not doing this. And obviously it didn't end up being true anyway. It was all a ploy so that Jim didn't have plans, admitted that he didn't have plans, and so he had to come to the dinner party.
And kudos to Michael, because that was pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't think Michael would pull off something that smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have much up there, so that was pretty good.
That was good.
And Jim gave credit to him for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he's invited him so many times, and this is the first time that he got him. So,
yes, and he also invites Andy and Angela, which was my least favorite pairing, even over Michael and Jan. I hated that couple.
oh, yeah, I think it's just like Angela. Like, she doesn't even like the guy, and she's just dating him because he is, what can I call it? Like, you can predict what he's going to do.
Yeah.
It's just security for her.
Yeah, and I feel like part of it also was he and Dwight were kind of nemesis. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
I
I
don't
think
know.
so.
They
That
did
sounds
not.
right to me.
We'll just say they didn't like each other,
Yeah.
and I feel like that was part of the reason why she chose him too.
Yeah, that's true.
Dwight is not allowed to come to the dinner party because it's couples only, so he ends up getting his babysitter from when he was younger to show up.
And also, they only have 6 wine glasses.
Yes. And that was funny. And then Dwight brings her, which is kind of a little bit like sick/funny, to this dinner party, and they bring their own food and their own glasses. That was awesome.
That was awesome.
This is probably one of the only times that Dwight is actually somewhat considerate.
Yeah, that's true. And I think they asked them, like, what, how do you guys meet? And then, Dwight told them, she's my former nanny, but right now they're just lovers. It's purely carnal or something.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, and Jim says, can you write down your email address? I have so many questions. And she's like, email? Like, what's an email? And he's like, never mind.
Yep, that's right. That was pretty funny.
That was funny.
I also like when Jim and Pam show up, Pam hands Jan a bottle of wine, and Jan basically says, "Oh, that's so nice. I'll cook with it."
Yeah. Oh, Jan, she's high maintenance. She makes no money, but she wants good stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and like, I don't even know, like you said in your notes, that is probably a burn to like wine connoisseurs. Like, they would say like, oh, I'll cook with this because it's crappy wine, but I've never heard of that. My opinion on that was that she didn't want Pam to think that she was a big drinker.
Oh, maybe.
But I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe it is a burn.
It is definitely a burn. Coming from Jan, yes. Because, yeah, I've cooked before with wine. Yeah, and you usually try to buy, like, the cheaper wine to cook with. So she basically said, yeah, you're bringing me cheap wine. I'm just going to use it to cook with it. You know?
I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I like cheap wine, so I guess that's...
Yeah, so Jan is giving the tour, shows the master bedroom. Like we said, Michael's sleeping on a bench at the foot of the bed.
Can we talk about the camera?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I was like, did you see the camera? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah. Especially to your guests seeing it too,
Yeah.
and
And it's set up on a tripod and everything, and she's like, babe, I thought you were going to clean up in here.
Yeah, and Michael wasn't embarrassed.
No, he was like, thought that would be impressive.
Yeah. He likes to brag about his sexual life, yeah.
Right.
He's okay with it.
So she ends up taking them to a workspace, office space that she is doing for this candle business that she's starting. And like you said, she has all of this space. Michael has this little corner with a $200 plasma TV. I don't know the size of this, but it looks like it's, 16 inches?
Yeah, it's
Maybe.
really small.
It's probably like 12 inches. I don't even know.
Not 12 inches.
I
don't
It's
know.
very
either.
small. That's what she said.
Let's say it's like a tablet, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was only worth $200. But Michael was super proud of it.
Yeah.
He was very, very proud of it. And then I like the part that he says, sometimes I will just stand here and watch television for hours. It's like, oh.
Yeah, because if you sit down, you can't even see it.
Right.
Yeah. You can tell who's the boss in that relationship in this episode.
And again, like, it makes you feel bad for Michael, and he's a crappy person.
That's right.
But the way they do it, they make you feel bad for him.
This episode is so uncomfortable to watch too, because you can see both of them just going at each other, just to show dominance, and it just turns out like really chaotic.
I feel like the reason that it's so hard to watch is because you put yourself in the guest's position. How you would deal with that situation if you were at a dinner party and these people clearly hated each other and they are just saying all of these passive-aggressive things to one another.
I felt this way one time.
Really?
Yeah, you were there. You both were there.
Yeah.
What?
It was at a lunch we were there. At this place.
Oh, yes, you are so right. We witnessed it. I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah, I would not want to talk or say anything at that moment while we were watching it. I think everybody was like that, feeling a little bit like that
it's
too.
Like
so
you can't wait to leave.
Right. Yep. So Jan also throughout this episode plays this song by one of her ex-assistants or whatever. He apparently is a songwriter now. This song gets on my ever-loving nerves.
It's stuck in my head right now.
I can't stand it. It's so dumb.
It's a catchy song.
Catchy.
I'm questioning your taste.
I'm not saying I like it. I'm saying it gets stuck in your head.
Yeah, I'm not saying either I like it. It's just that, like kids songs, like
oh my
you
God.
listen to them once
Baby
and they're
Shark.
catchy. You have them on your... Yep, Paw Patrols. Yep, they're in my head all
Thank
the time.
Thank goodness you're not saying you like it.
No.
So, Michael is trying to get Jim and Andy to invest in Jan's candle making company. And I love the fact that he gets upset and he says something to Jan later on about, you asked me to invite my rich friends over to invest in your company, which they are his employees.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the only rich one there is probably Andy because of his parents.
Okay, and Andy's just like, yeah, I'll invest $10,000, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's nothing.
Yeah, 10 grand. Yeah, I know.
I want in.
That's right. And Jim is like, oh, did you invite us just to invest in, the candle business of Jan? And, Michael didn't have much words to say.
Also, while all of this is taking place, the women are in the kitchen, and Jan makes the comment to Pam, oh, well, Michael makes a mess when he's in the bath, but Pam, you know that already. And Pam is completely floored. She's like, what are you talking about? And she says, oh, Michael told me that you guys used to date. Her reaction is like, no, never, never, never.
Yeah, like not then, not now, not ever. That was funny.
And Angela.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, yeah. Angela, what did she say? Did she say, oh, like, I've noticed you to look at him, how you look at him in the office or something like that?
I see the way you look
gosh.
at him.
Yes. Of course, Angela. And then I like that Pam went into the bathroom and then she said, I don't really care what they say about me. I just want to eat, which I realize is a lot to ask for at a dinner party. Because Jan had not calculate the food was going to be done on time.
Well, she said something when they got there. They hadn't even started it, and it takes 3 hours.
I think she did that on purpose to hold them hostage. Michael lured them over there by being like, don't make plans, we have to work overtime.
Yeah. So Jim attempts to escape the party by saying that his apartment has flooded. And he's like, oh, I have to go, the apartment's flooded. Come on, Pam. And Michael says, well, it's not going to take two of you. And he says, well, yeah, I guess that's true. See you later, Pam. And I thought that was so funny because you're so used to seeing Jim being the sweet guy, and he was totally ditching Pam.
Yeah, like the hero. Like he was trying to save Pam too, but at that moment he was just done with that place, so he just wanted to leave.
Yeah, he was just like, okay, bye.
Bye.
See you later.
And shortly after this is when the argument between Jan and Michael goes to where he's talking about, apparently she decided she didn't want kids and so he had a vasectomy, and then she decided she might want kids and so he had it reversed, and then she decided for sure she didn't want kids so he had another vasectomy.
Oh, yes. He had 3 vasectomies.
Yep.
Poor guy. And then he says, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. You had no idea the physical toll 3 vasectomies have on a person. I was like, oh my gosh. I had the faces of all of those people back there. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Jim, Pam, Angela, Andy, everybody. I was like, wow.
It's ridiculous. And, like, you can really do that. Why do they let you do that?
I have no idea.
I have no idea.
Because
either.
you can.
Yeah.
You can get it reversed.
Yeah, just to please Jan.
Oh my god. She's ridiculous. Do you see the way she was dancing?
Oh,
that
yeah.
song?
Yeah, all sexual
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah.
She was trying to get Jim to dance with her.
Oh yeah, and Jim just
Yeah.
sat there.
Yeah, so then this leads to, they're all sitting around the dinner table, and Dwight and his date have their food in their Tupperware containers, and everybody else has their food, and one of the things that Dwight brought was obviously beets, because he's a beet farmer. Kelly, you said your favorite line was when Angela tells Dwight, "The thought of popping one of your beets in my mouth makes me want to vomit."
That was a great line. I know you like beet salad. She's just like, no.
Yeah. So, this whole argument at the dinner table, that's the escalation where Jan picks up one of Michael's Dundee Awards and she throws it at the $200 television and breaks it. And Michael yells at her, "Good luck replacing it on your $0 a month salary, babe."
That was funny.
That was
Actually, that
funny.
kind of broke my heart. That kind of broke my heart for his $200 plasma TV.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing, like, he really loved from his whole house, and she just broke it.
Yeah, but that was a great burn. Like, on your
Oh,
$0
yes.
a month salary.
That's
yeah,
right.
I think this is one of the only moments where Michael has the upper hand on Jan.
Yeah.
That's true.
So the police arrive because the neighbors called about a domestic disturbance, which rightfully so. Jan runs out and she's acting really dramatic, like, don't hurt him, don't take him, like he did anything wrong. And they basically ask, "Well, do you have any place that you can stay?" And Michael looks at Jim and Jim says, "My apartment's on fire," and Pam says, "Flooded."
Yep.
So he ends up going home with Dwight so that he is safe from Jan for the evening. Which the episode ends with all of the, well, I want to say all of the couples, but it's Dwight and Michael instead of an actual couple. And Jim and Pam are sitting at a takeout restaurant because obviously they did not get dinner at the dinner party. And they're repeatedly calling each other babe in a mocking tone. And Jim pulls out the CD that he stole and puts it in the car stereo, and they start singing. And even though I hate the song, that moment was really cute.
It was cute.
Yeah, I like them together.
Plus, that dinner looked better than what Jan was cooking.
I agree. Give me a burger any day.
And she might have poisoned something in
Yeah.
it.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I
Michael
remember
just
that.
whispers, "I think she might have poisoned the food."
Yes. Yes, and then Pam was all worried about it too, that wouldn't she be poisoning his ex, like his former lover? Yeah. Which would be Pam.
Yeah, so in Andy's car, Andy is trying to flirt with Angela by taking a lick off of her ice cream cone, and she just rolls the window down and smashes the ice cream cone into the side of his car.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Angela. She's so harsh.
It's a waste of ice cream, but I love that.
Yeah, and the episode ends with Jan trying to fix Michael's broken Dundee Award with rubber cement.
At least she was trying. And in the end, too, Michael and Dwight are... I'm sorry. Dwight is driving by, and then he stops, at a stoplight. And then there was his carnal lover waiting for the bus to come. His nanny. He's like,
and he just drove right past.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Okay. I feel like The Office in general is like a comedy that no other comedy has attempted to like bring all of this like dark side from people,
Yeah.
like diversity, like all the stereotypes, all the racist comments, and in this case a failed relationship, like very disturbing situations. So I think that's what makes The Office so great, because they try to put it like in a funny way, all the darkness of some situations in life. So whatever you're going through in your life, I think this is a great comedy to watch. And it's brilliantly executed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that is one of the great things about having so many characters on a single show. You can relate to at least some aspects of the characters.
That's right. So I would like to ask you guys, like, who is your favorite character?
If we're talking about the ensemble cast, I'm gonna have to say Meredith.
Meredith.
Yeah, she cracks me up. Just, I don't know. She just makes off-the-wall... she's kind of like Creed. We spoke about Creed and how he just says off-the-wall things. Just her one-liners get to me. But if we're talking about the main cast, I'm probably going to say Pam.
Pam.
Yeah.
She's very sweet. They're so opposite.
Yeah. Well, it's because Pam is so sweet, but the moments where she kind of just lets go and becomes the dinner party episode where they're all doing the Southern murder mystery, or I'm sorry, yeah, the murder mystery party. She ends up just letting loose and doing this Southern accent, and she gets so involved, and I just think those moments, those are when I think that Pam is my favorite.
Awesome. What about you, Kelly? Is it Dwight, I assume?
You're
kidding.
funny. I dislike Dwight. I would say my favorite, maybe Pam. Also Michael. I like both of them. I feel like I could relate to Pam, except for the whole flirting while you're in a relationship thing. But she's kind of quiet. I'm kind of quiet. Like, once you get to know me, then I'm not quiet. So I can kind of relate to that. But Michael's my favorite because he's hilarious and stupid and ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite, Belinda?
My favorite one is by far Michael Scott. He is just ridiculous. Everything he says and how great of an actor he is, and he has a straight face while reading those lines. I give him credit for that. I have no idea how he doesn't like crack up right there. I guess he does, but when they're filming, but I just think he's hilarious. And I think my other favorite would be Kelly Kapoor, just because she has some weird stuff sometimes that she talks about and I can relate to, because I've kind of been there a little bit like her. Like, she talks about the Kardashians, and I used to watch them back in the days, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so funny. And that she wants to be like center of attention, just like Michael, like both of them. I don't think I'm like either one of them, but I just like that they're just hilarious.
So, we'll talk about some random facts that I found for you guys. about the show. One of the weird ones that I found was that John Krasinski had to cut his hair for a movie role in season 3, so he is wearing a wig throughout most of season 3.
That is crazy. I have to go back and rewatch that season because I can't really tell the difference.
I couldn't, even knowing I
didn't
can't
know
see
either.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to go back. Maybe he used one of Dwight's wigs. Did you watch that? Did you see that episode?
In the episode where Michael kisses Oscar,
Oh my god.
Steve Carell was supposed to hug him but improvised that kiss, so all of the cast reaction was authentic.
Oh, wow. That is crazy. So what we saw there was the real thing from everybody. That was not acting. That was like the real thing.
Pam's face in that moment was actually Jenna Fisher reacting to Steve Carell kissing Oscar Nunez.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
At risk.
That's pretty smart. So let me just ask you this. So, you know, Steve Carell kisses Oscar Nunez but Steve Carell knew.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody
Else did not.
Awesome. Wow.
That's weird for Oscar.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good actor. He stuck with it.
Okay.
In season 4, there's an episode where Jim signs Meredith's pelvic cast because she got hit by a car. And John Krasinski accidentally signed his real name. And I went back and watched that, and that is true.
Oh my goodness.
You can
I did
tell?
not know this.
Yes, you can tell.
Oh wow. I need to
funny.
go watch that again. Yeah.
This is making me want to rewatch every episode of every show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jenna Fisher got to keep Pam's engagement ring when the show ended.
That's cute.
I
Yeah.
thought that was cute too. Also, speaking of the engagement ring, the scene where Jim proposes to Pam out in front of that rest stop, that was actually a replica of a rest stop, not an actual rest stop, and that scene cost $250,000 to shoot.
That's so
That
crazy.
is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of just going to
Yeah,
a rest
just
stop
go
and just
to
shooting
one.
it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's when you have money, you can do all of that.
Yeah. The phrase, "that's what she said," is said 58 times throughout the series.
And I said that I was very surprised that was it.
Yeah.
There is a compilation on YouTube, shout out to whoever made it, of all the times it was said, and it's hilarious. I don't know why. Like, it might just be me, but I think that is the funniest joke of, like, all time.
Yeah.
Although Pam and Angela do not get along on the show, Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey are BFFs in real life.
Yeah. I follow them on Twitter, and I've seen them, like, in pictures, too. I've seen multiple pictures of them
Yeah.
being friends. That's awesome.
And then, this one is pretty common, but when Steve Carell left the show, there is a scene, the very last scene that you see is him, he hands the microphone over to the crew and he walks away to board his airplane, and Pam runs up to hug him because she almost missed him leaving. And in that moment, Steve Carell whispered something to her, and Jenna Fisher has never revealed what Steve Carell has said to her, but says that the sentiments that were shared were real.
Aww. And they looked very real. Like, you can tell that he was kind of sad. Hey, I have one.
Okay.
That I don't know if I've told you guys before, but if you notice in the back wall where Michael sits in his office, there, you know Michael Scott, he doesn't have a degree. So instead of that, he has framed that he owns an authentic, like, timepiece, Seiko watch.
Oh my god,
think
that's
how you
hilarious. Seiko.
Yes, you guys Seiko. I'm sorry, Seiko
Chad,
watch.
I only know that because Chad collects watches.
Okay, so you can watch, and you can see that he has it framed like it's his degree, but not really. It's just that he owns a watch. Just that, just a little thing out there.
I guess at least Chad doesn't have his framed. Okay, so before I do the social media comments, is it okay if I do 2 shout-outs?
No, go ahead.
So I just want to shout out to my friend Kate from college, who we watched The Office repeatedly together. So, hey. And also my friend Kara from college, who we also watched The Office together, and she was the one that commented about the murder mystery episode at the same time that I was actually watching it. Okay, so social media comments. Lauren H. Logan said her favorite episode is when Jim dresses up as Dwight. That's a classic. Also, she had a friend who dressed as 3-hole punch Jim for Halloween one year. It was great.
Awesome.
Taylor Ray Paul said, I don't know what the episode is called. Maybe Fire Safety. The episode where Dwight sets a fake fire and Stanley has a heart attack. Then later he cuts the face off the CPR doll. The first 10 minutes are priceless. We agree with that.
Agreed.
Yep. Thank you, Taylor.
We'll see you soon.
Yep.
Joanna Ostel says, my best friend and I are rewatching The Office right now, and I have to say quiet moments between the characters are really important to me. Conflict resolution when Dwight and Jim talk about the Stanford job. Benihana Christmas when Dwight quietly takes Angela's hand to console her. And the entire fire drill scene, pure chaotic perfection. And Firestarters Podcast at Firestarters Pod said they sent us a GIF. Is that how you say that? GIF?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
That's
GIF.
Yeah, whatever. That says Ryan started the fire with Dwight. And coming soon to VHS says, one of my favorite moments is when Andy was in a sumo costume and he floated away. It always makes me laugh. I just watched that episode and it's hilarious.
Yes.
Because Angela's like, what? I don't know what you're saying. Because she doesn't want to go get help for him. Favorite characters. So Lauren H. Logan said, I love Jim and Pam, and also Meredith, Angela, and Kevin. She loves everybody.
It's hard to choose.
It is hard to choose. But she doesn't like Dwight, so that's cool.
You're good in Kelly's book.
Yes, that's right.
Sarah Robinson says, I want to say someone else besides Michael, but for sure Michael. His stupidity kills me. I agree with that. Joanna Ostel says, tough question. I'll be boring and say Jim. I think his and Pam's relationship is really the heart of the show. I agree with that. But also, in general, his interactions with others are highlights for me. His goodbye with Michael, the quiet moments of friendship with Dwight, and, the pranks. And then there's a gift that says, best prank ever. And Taylor Ray Paul says, her husband's favorite is Dwight, and hers is Creed. He has a small part, but is always great when he does talk, and I agree with that. Creed is funny.
Oh, yeah. Creed is funny. That's awesome.
So, first of all, thank you, Belinda.
Yeah,
for
thank you.
coming and talking to us.
Thank you guys for having me here. It's awesome to talk about The Office. I mean, who wouldn't want to talk about The Office?
Yeah, it is a great show. And thank you, everybody who downloaded and listened. You can rate and review on iTunes if you're listening through there. You can talk to us on social media, on Facebook and Twitter. Both of those are at the Faves of Our L1. That's at the Faves of Our L and the number 1. We always do our best to read listener comments, so talk to us through that. And our next episode will be on Dawson's Creek.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Our guest for that one is one of my favorite people, Kaylin Marie. She actually has a little surprise in store for us. She's super talented. So stay tuned for that episode. And again, thanks for listening. Bye, everyone.
Bye!
Bye.